Most people are using AI and automation just completely wrong. And it's costing you hours of wasted time, broken automations, systems that fall apart the moment anything really changes. And if you're dealing with the same thing, I really want this video to help you get to the other side so you're not having systems that break when you've started to rely on AI and automation to try to make your life easier. So, if you've ever built an automation that initially worked perfectly and then it didn't all of a sudden, or you add a new one or added one new feature and then watch the whole thing collapse, or found yourself constantly having to babysit your AI that's supposed to be saving you time, making you more money, helping you run your business more efficiently, then this video is going to be for you. By the way, if you like anything in this video, you want to help get more information like this out there and see more of it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would love for you to be a part of the community, and I can also have you help me help you. So anyways, today I want to show you a fundamentally different way to think about AI and automation, especially as we move forward where AI agents and building a future embedding AI into your day-to-day workload is going to really provide a lot of efficiency gains. But if you do it wrong, it actually causes a lot of unnecessary issues. So ideally, by the end of this video, you'll understand the why you don't want AI to just do everything and like the approach that's likely holding you back. More so, you'll understand how a simple shift in the way that we do our own AI and automation implementation and development we've used to help our partners really make a massive improvement in having substantially more reliable, significantly faster, more effective in terms of efficiency, and truly a scalable system that makes embedding AI into your business far less daunting when it comes to using it in the way that's supposed to be used. So, anyways, let's sort of dive into this. Now, what I do want to preface this is this is not about us in this video discussing how to make better prompts, or it's not about switching to a new, better magical model. It's about having a completely different structured approach to leveraging AI than how most people are using it. Okay, so let's dive into how most people think about AI and automation. Now, they use it in the context of solutions-only thinking, right? You've got this task and you want AI to help you do it. So they tell the AI to essentially do the whole thing, or they talk with it on how do I create a solution to solving this unique problem from start to finish, right? And so we structure this in the mind of solutions-only thinking. Now, essentially what this means is, yes, you get your solution to, say, help me respond to an email when it comes in. However, what that really means is I need it to understand the ability to go to my Gmail, click on the email, read the new email, find the context of this person, who they are, what's the relation to me, are they a customer, a client, a lead, my accountant, a friend? Remember, and then it needs to remember like who you are, what you're doing, what's the context of the conversation that we're having, and how does it pertain to me, and how should I reply, and how should the message be drafted? And do I have anything that relates to it that should be applied to this email response, or should I be doing something else? There's a ton of layers just in replying to an email that if you use it wrong, it's a waste of time and energy, right? So once you do that, it then has to draft your response. You see all the rest of the stuff. There's a lot of manual actions, honestly, in here that if you stripped those away and allowed AI to zone in on the thing that truly matters, which is replying to this email contextually correct, you're able to allow it to do that job, the one important job, much more effectively. So instead of it doing all 12 of those steps, right? Opening up everything, clicking on it, pulling everything, drafting the email, making sure the context is right, sending it, notifying it, making sure it goes to the right place, all that stuff. We then break it out in a much more efficient method, in a much more efficient way. The reason we want to do this, and I'm going to get to what this is in a minute, is if you use the model of solutions-only thinking that most people use AI for, you're dealing with heavy token overload, means higher costs, more delays, and bloat. Look, AI is fast, but using other systems can be substantially faster and more effective. Context bloat, so it breaks over time. One failure on this is a dramatic negative output, because if you're using it for business, one miscommunication or one delay or one missend or bad contextual awareness breaks your own trust and credibility with other people. And we don't want that to happen, especially when it comes to speaking to other people, right? So this does compound. And if it's not structured and controlled appropriately, you just can't scale reliably with AI or automation. It doesn't really matter, right? So you're paying a lot for a little bit of an output. So the ideal direction here is to not take your magical AI genius and have them do every single action individually, but make the person move into a structured system. Instead of having AI do every single step, we are going to organize AI into structured pathways where it functions as like the manager or the operator instead of the manual laborer, as well as the CEO and all of the other roles, right? This is sort of the direction that we consider or call structured, like systems thinking. The mental model for this is very simple. We actually have some really good references we can look to. So think of AI as the brain. And essentially, this functions as your decision making, your reasoning, your generation, the stuff that actually requires intelligence and cognitive input in some way, shape, or form, right? The code itself functions as the body. It's the execution, the retrieval, the formatting, the delivery, the very mechanical stuff, the stuff that can be very easily coded, interconnected, and done time and time again in a repeatable pattern. Now, let's try to think about our body for a second. Our body, when you go to pick up a glass of water, your brain doesn't consciously activate every single muscle to do said thing, right? At least your brain isn't thinking of it in every single step to move your fingers in all of these ways, right? You decide, I want water, I'm thirsty, I need something to drink. And your body executes the task through learned pathways. And that's exactly how we should be building AI systems. So, key principle. AI ideally should only really be activated for the parts that actually require cognitive understanding, intelligence, contextual awareness, and then everything else, if possible, should be able to be handled by pre-written, reliable code that AI can call upon when it needs to enable a pathway. So let me try to break this down a little further. Let's go back to the email example. And in this framework here, what we're now doing is everything in red is essentially the code, whereas the AI is here at the beginning. Technically, there's a missing section that I should have added in here, which is AI understands or triggers a acknowledgement of something that comes in. Say, hey, look, an email happens, and then what gets happened is the code detects it, fetches it, and then notifies AI in preparation. But then it pulls the context, it formats the structure for AI so that it understands, generates its output, sends it, logs it, etc. So in this instance, AI no longer is the piece that's clicking all the buttons, having to interact with your browser, having to make sure that it does things correctly, logging into accounts, all of that. And it's also not sitting there copying and pasting, right? It's thinking, deciding, generating, and giving clear outputs based on the context of what it actually has to do related to said task. So code is then doing everything else, which is far more efficient at scale. So what this ends up occurring at scale for us is it allows us to have code that executes just instantly, and there's no token cost, and the mechanical tasks for your AI drop insanely. In fact, that doesn't even really have to incur when you're able to just output those tasks to the code itself. From there, your AI is able to have far more knowledge and understanding because it is able to have very narrow contextual awareness. It doesn't have to have a book of information. It can have a paragraph. So then it can process everything faster, it can run more efficiently, and it can give you better, more effective, more targeted outputs related to the task at hand. In most scenarios, when you work with someone to help you do this stuff, or you go to do this yourself, your first approach is typically a solutions-only approach. And while it may get you to your end result, it is probably the most inefficient way to get there. You are literally looking at a 50 times difference in a lot of cases, depending on your scale, when doing a solutions-only approach compared to a structured systems approach. Inherently, because of cost, speed, efficiency, reliability, and consistency in its outputs. So, what if we could make your systems improve themselves as well, even on top of this? Now, a cool thing we could dive into, now that you understand solutions-oriented approach versus a systems-driven approach, what if we could make our systems improve themselves recursively? This is a really fun part, because once you've made it so AI doesn't have to have all the contextual awareness, and you're leveraging coded systems to fire and function for different areas, you have the opportunity to build AI systems that are able to do recursive improvement. So here's how this can get really powerful. You can have an operator agent that is taking everything that we've already discussed about how we make AI structured systems work that can be reliable at scale, all of that stuff. And now we go and add a secondary layer or a third layer, depending on how this is. And what this is we have an operator agent that handles your day-to-day tasks, like responding to your emails in this example. But then we have a developer agent that takes and pulls all of the logs regarding to how that whole process ran, right? It's able to take a systems log of the timeliness of its reply, things that it had issues with replying. You can get like a effectiveness score from its outputs compared to what you think it needs based on some basic parameters. Since you're able to consistently give the developer agent the report card or the errors that maybe it dealt with code. What this allows you to do is to then have the developer agent go and make recursive improvements based on your logs from your operator agent. So what this then allows you to do is have a true system that works together and does recursive improvement and iteration in allowing it to further improve each and every one of the actions. So while you may have started out with it doing responses to your emails, as it gets better and it's gathered more data, it's looked at how it can run and fire and do things more efficiently, it becomes more and more efficient at the task at hand. So again, key distinctions with this is instead of us just having like a bunch of really static automations that maybe, we would teach you just through like Make or Zapier, which is a great starting point, we then have a true systems approach where we have an operator, an AI developer, and a handful of structured code that helps it to fire at different times depending on the task at hand. Let me help you round this up so that we've got a clear overview. What we need to look at doing moving forward is separating intelligence from the execution, right? Allowing AI to handle the reasoning and the generation instead of it doing everything. This way, code can reliably handle everything mechanical, so AI can do the things that you need it to do, leveraging its large language model capabilities. Then you want to have a coded pathway first. So a recommended approach in my direction or my mind would be you have a series of tasks that you want to do. If you would like, maybe you go and you use something like Zapier, Make, N8N to build out the general pathway that you view this being able to be solved. You get that running and working. But then you go from using Make, N8N, Zapier, Flowise, LangChain, whatever, and then develop a structured approach using code. And then you allow AI to call upon that model or from that code when it needs to do said task or to be triggered by code that looks for certain things to occur using webhooks and the API connections with your tools and different interfaces that you use. Then you have all of that set up, and then let it build for recursive improvement by letting it then give you structured outputs, storing data logs of the successes, the failures, the error points, the places that things don't work. If you've used Make, Zapier, N8N, LangChain, Flowise, all that stuff, you'll know that when you build an automation, there's going to be some change from an API, a software platform adjusts how they do things, data gets adjusted in some way, shape, or form, and then your automation fails, whether silently or very loud, yelling at you from all places, right? Because something's broken. Well, what that does is it goes into your developer agent, it makes those optimizations, provides those recommended improvements, and then you can approve those through human in the loop input, and then allow that to further improve your process, improving the efficiency of your system all around. So if your automations are breaking and your systems are just not scaling as effectively as you want, it's likely not actually your AI. It's how you're using and implementing AI in your process, and maybe not using structured systems to allow AI to move as efficiently as it could. So think about your architecture. If you can fix your architecture, you should hopefully be able to fix just about everything else when it comes to using AI and automation in your business. I hope this has been helpful. If you guys have any other questions, put them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.